Well, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight for the Academics Committee. I do want to set some norms for this committee and future meetings. And the first one is all are welcome to join the table for the discussion, so thank you for joining us. We value your input. And the second one is to stay focused on our agenda topics. And that's really out of fairness for our participants who are here. I've invited Rich and Susan, who are from our school building, so I want to be respectful of their time as well as everybody who joins us. The third is to listen to others and share in a respectful manner. And lastly, the Finance Committee follows us, so I want us to be mindful of our time and end promptly by 5:15. Okay? With that, we are going to go ahead and get started with our first agenda item, being the Comprehensive Literacy Plan, and Lacey Adams is going to lead us.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome, everybody, to being here tonight. If you need a copy of the literacy plan, would anyone like a copy of this that I'm going to give you? Okay.
Yeah. Sure.
So our comprehensive literacy plan for the St. Joe School District is just that. It is comprehensive. It's a pre-K through 12 document, and it's in response to a new Senate Bill 681 that has just went through the legislature this year. And so it is a law. It is required by DESE for us to be implementing this. And so the great news is it came together at the right time, because just as the law was taking effect, we also have a need for literacy instruction and professional development in the school district. So it was great timing for us. Some of these things that we have embedded in here are things that we just do on a daily basis, whether we call that a plan or not. It is just now put together in a document where it's all in one place. And so there are some new things that have come about because of the law. So I'd just like to walk you through it briefly. To develop this plan, our academic services team worked to reference DESE's 681 guide, Senate Bill 681 guide. DESE has their own literacy plan as well, and then LEAs, local education agencies, need to develop their own comprehensive plan. And so that's what you see before you. It is a living document. It will change as policies, board policies change, or procedures, or guidelines, instructional approaches. As those things change, it will change. It's a living document. The great news is that this was vetted through one of our state literacy consultants just last week, and she actually said that this is one of the best plans she's seen come out of a district thus far. So that was good to hear from her, and one of the things that she really praised us about was that she works inside some of our schools with teachers in professional development and professional learning communities, and she said this plan is the real deal. I know it's going on in the schools. I know that your teachers are being backed with this professional development and the support to carry this out. And so I was thrilled to hear that from her. The comprehensive literacy plan has to contain certain components, specific components such as assessment, instruction and intervention, leadership sustainability, community engagement, educator prep, recruitment, and retention. And so those are the main items embedded within the plan. It changed some things for us. It's required us to look at our intervention structure. We call that MTSS, multi-tiered systems for support for students, and really what we do within those tiers, and as we progress with students, how we can move them through the tiers and graduate them out of intervention. And so our reading interventionist, Susan's one of them, has been critical in some of that work that we are starting to embark upon regarding reading success plans that come out of here that will be a part of intervention. And so students that are that demonstrate 1 year or more gap from grade level in reading ability, they can qualify for a reading success plan. We call those RSPs. There are 3 parts. They call them parts instead of methods. 3 ways that you can qualify for an RSP. One would be just through a Lexile. We use a state-approved vendor, so we use iReady in this school district. The state has 4 to maybe 5 now approved vendors for literacy that school districts are required to utilize. Ours is iReady, and so we've worked with iReady and had several meetings with them to make sure that we are meeting the state's requirements. And so iReady services several school districts around us as well. But the reading success plans, you can qualify one by a Lexile score that demonstrates if you're 1 year or more below grade level. It also looks at another method or part in which it combines the Lexile with a literacy task. A literacy task is a small assessment that a teacher gives a student, and it requires them to listen to the student read. It measures fluency and some other things. So that's part 2. They can look at the literacy task in combination with the Lexile score. And part 3 is a dyslexia screener that iReady uses, and they use an IRDI indicator, and so that's a certain cut point that they use within their scoring. It's a combination of those 2 assessment methods. That's how you can enter onto a reading success plan. With that comes parent notification. Teachers are already communicating with parents if they're seeing a student that is struggling in reading and the interventions that are provided. So we do notify the parent of the reading success plan. There are also components that parents can help support us with, reading at home, bringing the student to summer school, bringing the student to tutoring after school, and so there are some other components there. Then to exit a reading success plan, a student needs to be proficient on 2 benchmarks back to back. So that might be a diagnostic and then a literacy task right after that, but they have to have two benchmarks from our state-approved vendor that they're proficient on and can maintain success in Tier 1 in the regular ed classroom without support. So that's how they exit off of a reading success plan. The other big piece of our plan that I think is important is we do recognize the 5 pillars of reading, the components: phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocab, and comprehension. Those are from the National Reading Panel, and so our instruction, our curriculum resources, our professional development is all based out of that. This plan requires research-based effective practices, and so we have to really analyze what we're using in the classroom with students to teach reading. And then the biggest piece, I think the most important part of this plan that I'm excited about is the professional development that backs it for our teachers and gives our teachers the skills and the knowledge to be able to deliver quality instruction. So this year, our school district has several professional development initiatives going on. One is LETTERS, that is foundational reading, the science of reading training that is occurring through the state and several states actually in the country. Mississippi had some really good results on the last NAEP test that they took in the 4th grade with their students in 8th grade in literacy. And Missouri picked up on that, and our legislators picked up on that, and so that is funded through the state for several of our educators. It's intense instruction. It's really good instruction. All of the teachers that have opted in to go through that are just really loving that, seeing a remarkable improvement in kids. The other piece of professional development that we have implemented is UFly. It's a systematic approach to teaching phonics, and it is from the University of Florida Literacy Institute. Our teachers all were provided training this summer in that, K through 2, and several of our interventionists. And so that's another piece that I just watched 2 fabulous lessons today at Edison Elementary regarding that. And so it's teachers are saying really good things about that program. Ellen Keene's Literacy Studio is another piece of literacy PD that our teachers are receiving. She is a national researcher and educator in the area of comprehension, reading comprehension, making meaning. And so that helps a lot of our teachers that work with students that went through the science of reading, the foundational reading and the fluency, and now they need to comprehend. And so that really can help any of our students in any grade level, but specifically 3rd and up. We really are working towards comprehension. So the professional development, I think Mastery Connect is something that the secondary schools are taking part in. Our preschool has a new curriculum that they have rolled out this year, language and literacy. And so it's been a great addition. So there's lots of literacy initiatives in our district right now that are alive and well. So that's our comprehensive literacy plan. I think I hit everything I wanted to on it. That's a snapshot of it. Does anybody have any questions for me regarding any of this or any of the components? There's a lot of information.
LETRs, the letters.
Letters.
Can you just define it and explain what it is?
Yep, let me get to that page.
It's 25.
Thanks. It's under leadership sustainabilities, or leadership. Okay, it's the language essentials for teachers of reading and spelling. It does bring in some spelling components. Oftentimes, we notice if students have spelling errors, then they really probably have a reading issue, like a foundational reading issue, usually in coding. And so this is something that like I watched a lesson today, and each lesson topic has 2 days of instruction. And so it breaks down vowels, it breaks down letter sounds, and how to apply those in the reading. And so day 1 is all about teaching the skill, and they do auditory drills, visual drills, read aloud, read together, and then when they get to day 2 of the components, they go through that again, but then they apply it in a connected text. So it could be a piece usually that comes right out of UFly that they look through and they're identifying, or the teacher could pick an intentional text that goes along with that lesson topic, but lots of word work in there. So segmenting, blending, applying the phonics and the phonemic awareness in reading the written word, how to get the words off the page is one way we say it. So it's very scripted, which is good. You know, we have lots of new teachers in our district. Any teacher can pick this manual up and teach from it. And so we encourage that. We like to see teachers using the manual and going step by step. And so it's very routine oriented. Yeah.
One of the huge positives we're seeing from Letters and UFly is it doesn't matter if you're at Lindbergh or today we're at Edison or at Scaife, you'll see the same exact lessons. And so I think that's just important to have consistency in our instructional lessons. And Susan, if you have anything to add.
I'll jump in. I'm currently in the 2nd year of Letters training, and Letters is the professional development of the science of reading, of how and why you teach the way you teach to get kids to learn those foundational skills of reading. The first year was all about the components of language, sounds, and how kids put them together and how they write them. The 2nd year, which I'm currently in, is all about the comprehension. As kids learn to read now, how to support their ability to comprehend. It's excellent training, excellent professional development for teachers. I've been a teacher for a long time, and I've learned a ton from the last year and a half that I've been doing it.
It seems like it would stretch across, not just reading, but across the board in lesson plans.
Absolutely, absolutely, because it gives the foundation. And I'm really hoping that more teachers in the district will take the opportunity to go through this training. It's a 2-year commitment.
Sure.
It's a lot of work. It's good work. And I think the more common knowledge, common language, common foundation we get as teachers across the district, the better we'll be able to teach our students. And I know that the state has opened it up, I think, to grade 5 teachers, which I think is amazing, because I just think that in order to be effective teachers of reading and writing, and of course reading is across the curriculum,
Right.
that it's just really good stuff.
Foundational.
It's foundational, and like I said, I've been teaching for a long, long time, and I've learned a ton. And so, it's stuff that I go, oh, I wish I would have known that 20 years ago. But I'm super glad to know it now. And I'm just, the state has put a lot of resources behind it, and I just hope lots of teachers will take advantage of it. And I know the district is really supporting teachers to take advantage of this program. It's good.
At all levels,
All
not
levels.
just lower elementary.
Right.
but
I
is
think
it-
now it's just to 5.
Well,
grade 5
letters is to
teachers.
5, but yeah, some of these other professional development initiatives go up through 12.
Yeah. But it's good knowledge for
It's exciting
anybody.
news.
Yes.
To hear it from you,
Yes.
who's involved in it.
Right.
To
Yeah.
know what it's doing for you.
And it's good. It's hard. It's not a cakewalk by any stretch. But it's great professional development.
So it's a good enhancement to
Yeah.
what you're.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I had a
Absolutely.
parent yesterday say to me, we were at church Sunday and we were singing a song that we had never sang before, and my daughter was reading the words off the prompter, and I'm like, how do you know those words? And she's like, I can read them. And this is an educator who has a daughter, and said, how did you learn to read all those words? I didn't even know you knew all those words. And she said, from her teacher who's implementing this
Yeah.
eFly. So once you learn the trick, you can apply it, So.
Dr. Adams, I have a couple of questions on the literacy plan.
Uh-huh.
I'm just going to rapid fire them. You just rapid fire them
Okay.
back, okay?
Do my best.
So the expansion of early learning on the first goal, are we fully enrolled in early learning?
So you're referring to the district's mission, vision, and core values?
The literacy plan, the first 5 goals.
Yeah, so this is the district's academic services goals. So we included academic services goals and our comprehensive school improvement
Okay.
plan, our CSIP.
Mhm.
We're required to.
Putting it into the plan.
To put it into
Okay.
the plan. But your question is specifically about?
Is early learning fully?
I think we're at 412.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
412
we're not
full.
full. We still have openings for early childhood special education students, and then we are 4 teachers short right now, so we're trying to continue to hire. So we're 4 less than we had hoped we would be. We are continually screening and offering to 4-year-olds that are 1 year out of kindergarten.
So with the literacy plan, are you having to provide, what's the process once, what's the process after this? What happens to it? We have
With the plan?
to do reports on,
Yeah, so we do. That's a great question. We are required to report to DESE twice a year the number of students on reading success plans, what area they may be qualified in, or not qualified, but have a concern in, example, phonemic awareness or vocabulary, one of those domains. And then also the response to that. So are they in a tier 2 small group where reading interventionist pushes in? Are they receiving additional intervention inside the classroom? Are they in a tier 3 pull-out group?
So you're just going to report on the literacy outcomes, and then through the CSIP, you're going to report on the other outcomes that are included in the plan? Is that how it's
Everything
gonna
in
go?
this literacy plan will impact our ELA goal.
Okay.
So anything that we do, we hope to see reading improvement, so reading achievement
Okay.
improvement. So we're hoping to see it at the end of the year diagnostic. We're hoping to see it in the MAP scores. So it should impact any of our
Okay.
other academic outcomes.
Okay, that
Yeah.
explains it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
One point DO brought up, is the 4 teachers per short keeping us from enrolling more kids?
Yes, we would be able to open up 4 more classrooms if we had those teachers.
And you said, I think, DO, we're at 412 now? And
It changes every day, so a couple days ago, we were at 412, but it might be a little more than that now.
does it change like the 20, can change by 20, 25, 30 kids a day?
Not that many a day, but basically students that are going through either a screening process. So right now, our spots that we have in our ADA and our title classrooms have been for 1 year out of kindergarten, so our 4-year-olds, that would next year be going to kindergarten. And then our early childhood special education openings. So between screening and our special education process, those are the students that we're enrolling right now.
Right, if we do not get the 4 teachers we need right away hired, can we put more people in?
Yeah, we're still putting those
Okay.
kids in that I just mentioned.
And
What
both
we're not
places?
putting in are 3-year-olds that have not qualified for special education.
Okay.
So we have screened quite a few 3-year-olds, a lot of them, that we have not offered a spot to because we do not have the space for those students right now.
We have the 4-year-olds and the 5-year-olds, I guess. Then we do have more space at that age group.
Yeah, we've got a couple left as far as for peers and I think in one of our half-day title classrooms. But what happens is depending on your address would depend on for morning or afternoon, childcare. So it's kind of playing chess trying to get everybody to fit that needs a spot.
Any other questions about the comprehensive literacy plan?
I had a
This is
question.
directly, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Oh, no.
About the plan, but I wondered if there's any plan to give incentives to teachers to take the professional development courses related to this plan.
They are able to clock in and receive compensation if they're doing that off-contract time.
Okay.
We also worked with Northwest RPDC, who helps deliver the letters training on behalf of the state. And we have so many taking part of it in St. Joe that they were very kind to rearrange their schedule. And so outside of their typical professional development opportunities for letters, they are coming to St. Joe and delivering just certain days for St. Joseph School District teachers. So
Okay.
we had so many. That's been really beneficial because it's here locally and it's during our PD days. So,
Okay,
yeah.
sounds good.
It was kind of along that line as well. I was going to say nicely the first time, can we highly suggest everyone take it? Or can we require everybody to take it, especially new teachers?
Well,
And then even if we pay them on their PD, is our goal maybe to get 100% of our people on
We're
this?
working on
Yeah.
it, but when we
Okay.
have new teachers, that's a lot on their plate. And
Yeah.
so we just don't want it, like Susan shared, it's a lot. It's hours and hours and hours of training.
So maybe wait 1 year then?
Yeah, we probably need them, to give them a little bit of time. Would you agree?
I would totally agree.
Okay, good. Okay.
It's super good information, and, it would be nice if you could just pour the information into their brain and they'd have it, but being a first-year teacher and trying to do the letters would be a lot of work.
And I don't mind when they take it.
Right.
Yeah.
I just want to make everybody take it.
We just want to keep them,
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Oh, you mean that can make them leave?
It can be a bit much.
Would
I
they
just,
be
I
able
think
to
it
hang
can be
that?
overwhelming.
Would they be able to hang that on the resume if
Oh,
they
yeah.
did get through it?
It's-
Yes,
it's
they
a
went
good
through
thing.
this?
They can.
It's a good thing. And I do think it has a positive reputation. I think other teachers see it and hear about it and they start becoming interested in it. And then we have several administrators, principals going through letters for administrators too. So that's another great thing that they're able to take part in that.
I feel like I could use it most of the time.
I have a question,
Thank you for
just for
spell check.
clarification. Sorry, so when you use the term new teacher, are you saying first year out of college new, or just new to St. Joseph School District?
I'm saying first year, the first 1, 2, 3 years in the
Okay.
profession.
So anyone who comes here as an experienced teacher would be...
Right. Probably not be as
accepted.
overwhelming since they've got
Right.
some experience under their belt.
Sure, okay, thank you.
Yep.
How many hours will they end up doing? I mean, is it 10 or 200?
Well, Susan, you're gonna have to help with
Wow,
that. They have to do things outside of the training with students,
Yeah.
with groups. And
Yes.
so that, it can be, How fast you
there's 2 units, 2 years worth, there's 5 to 6 sessions, your units inside the books, and each session, gosh, could be 2 or 3 hours for each like chapter. It's very intensive, but it's very good. But it requires a commitment on the teacher's part. And for the state is currently paying for the teachers to be enrolled into this program. And the state is asking for a 2-year commitment from the teachers so that, you know, they can be assured that the state has their own goals to get so many teachers across the state trained.
Right.
And so it's a lot of work. It's good work though. And I wouldn't want a teacher to take that on if they weren't willing to put in the work, because you're not going to get the benefit from the PD if you don't put your time and your effort into it.
Thanks.
But I do want to say that Lindbergh's been very supportive of the teachers at Lindbergh going through the training. And so I don't know about other buildings, but I believe other building administrators are being equally as supportive for those teachers.
Yeah.
But you think the administration at Lindbergh has been a big help in getting them?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Maybe make the first school something, free trip to Hawaii if they get 100% funded.
All right, I think we're going to move on with that one. Okay, item number 2 is building start and end times, and I'm excited to have this conversation with this group. There's a lot of research out there that supports high school students starting ideally at around 8:30, and I'm seeing a smile on somebody's face. Are you a high school student?
Yeah.
You are. What school do you attend?
Central.
Awesome. I added some articles, some research online to the agenda, so you're welcome to read that. There's some mixed results, but for the most part, research supports a later start time for high school students. I've also received quite a bit of feedback from parents that their elementary students are up at 6 o'clock, 6:30, and they're ready to go to school, but school isn't starting until 8:45. So I've left a sheet at the table that shows all the start times for our buildings. You can see our latest times are at the very bottom there at 8:45. So you can imagine, if you're a parent, how frustrating that can be when your kiddo's up at 6 o'clock, or maybe you even have to work at 8 o'clock. So I'm curious of the feedback from this group. If there's a consensus to move forward, the next step would be to get surveys from our staff, our students, and our parents. And so I'm open to any feedback on this discussion. From conversation, what I've heard in the past is we've had these start times to accommodate sports. Rich Fox is a coach and a teacher at Central, so I would value any input he has, but I strongly believe we should be making decisions based off of our academics, and the research does support the later start time for high school students supports positive results in attendance and academic achievement. So I think that's something as a district we should consider. I invited Shannon Nolte here to talk about the busing component, but I would love to hear from our Central student. What are your thoughts, bud?
About what?
Later start time.
I think it should start later.
Fair enough. So you're all in favor?
Yeah.
Can I ask, is that why you attended tonight?
Yeah, we did a little research
Okay.
and sent some articles out, me, to Whitney, and I'm not sure if you shared it with other people. Okay. And then also I did some extra research and have learned that the reason that physicians are promoting this is that teens, their melatonin actually kicks in 3 hours later than younger people and adults. And so that's why they find it harder to fall asleep earlier and they stay up later. Plus, you know, a lot have jobs and so forth and homework. I don't know. There's in cell phones. Yes. Yes. So I think there's lots of reasons. And that's not the only reason that affects attendance by any reason, you know, but it just may be one thing.
So you're saying as a parent, you would be supportive of that change?
Definitely, as a
Okay.
grandparent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a teacher, you know, tardiness is a pretty common thing, the first hour in particular. Just chronic tardiness with, you know, I can plan on the clock, you know, with students coming in late each day. And so, and like you said, there's all kinds of research kind of showing that out there. And I think the average time, I think they said for teenagers is about 11 o'clock for bedtime usually, and that they should be getting 8 to 10 hours of sleep a night. And so, and I think that it kind of, the high school kind of kicked back during the COVID, when we had COVID, because I remember one time, I think it was 7:50, did we, I know 7:45 for sure, but I want to say we started at 7:50 at one time, the high schools did. And now we're starting class at 7:25. And so it's kind of gone back, you know, over the years. And so, and two, there was, I saw a study too with, that kind of focused on the staff. And I hadn't seen that study before. It was Cherry Creek Schools in Colorado. And they did a study on staff and how staff improvement, just more rest, helped staff as much as the kids, of just getting more rest. And it was kind of interesting because with elementary teachers, they were fine with ready to go earlier in the day. You know, I think because the kids were ready, you know, for the most part.
You adapt to your clientele.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know Columbia maybe is in their 3rd year of starting, man, they start almost at 9 o'clock
Wow.
high school. And they're out at 4:05, I think. So as a coach, I can see that really, you know, getting out early for certain things is going to hurt. You know, they're going to lose, they could lose a couple hours maybe even of academic time getting out of school that early. So, you know, that seems really late, but they kind of switch things up, and they have, their middle school still goes, they go early. They start around 7:30, but the high school is about around 9.
I've always heard the ideal time from everything I read is about 8:30. But we do have that control to set the schedule, so it doesn't have to be X amount of minutes in a day. We could extend that, we could shorten that, as long as we have the state requirement of 1,044 hours.
So Rich, in your experience, student athletes, are they the ones who have a hard time getting work made up when they've been gone from the class for a little bit of time?
I would say the athletes I've had are, for the most part, they're on top of it.
Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of what my experience was in the classroom too.
Yeah.
The missing some of class several times a year because a bus left early or something. Generally, those kids were pretty on top of things.
And they're motivated. You know, they're usually motivated. They want to make sure that they're on top of it.
Well, if you're a student athlete, you have to be eligible to
Right.
participate, so there's
Right.
You can't just
motivation
not do
there
it.
too.
Right.
Anybody else want to share their feedback, thinking?
I do know there are some that work. So having it end earlier gives them more time and opportunity to earn a wage. But again, they can work that around whatever schedule that we decide on.
The other thing we've talked about too is by offering this to elementary, we could prevent parents from having to have before school care and after school care. So if we started earlier, they may be able to drop kids off at school and then get to work and not need that childcare in the morning.
But still have to provide something in the afternoon.
Mhm. And probably still in the morning for some, but
Yeah, right.
it may save some parents some funds.
Well, and I was thinking that for those families who have teenage drivers
Right.
and younger siblings, it would make total sense to switch the order around. That way they can drop the little one off, drop the middle schooler off, and then get to the high school. So just from that logistical point, I don't know how many families that operate like that, but.
There's probably some kickback too with those high school students watching siblings after school too. So you have that piece that probably would affect some families for sure.
So I think I'm hearing a consensus to move forward with surveys. Yep.
Yeah, well, we broached this subject about 10 or 12 years ago.
Okay.
In a really serious manner, but since it mainly came from people associated with me, it was kicked aside pretty quickly. But the reason we came up with a lot of reasons we've said here, the reason we should do it is it kind of becomes a safety issue, and guess what? It's more user-friendly. And who's the user? It's the student and the parents. And the parents ultimately are the taxpayers, so we should make them happy whenever we could. But the thing was, it was much more workable for many more people, not only because of the sleep habits of the high schoolers compared to other things, but in the morning when you have this multifamily, you have an older kid and a younger kid especially, or a next door neighbor that can go over to the people that have the older kid and the younger kid watching the younger kid, then besides them being ready and locked and loaded more to go to school, being younger, then it gave the older parent, a kid, to be there to oversee that, to kind of be in charge of it and make sure it happened. And if they drive, of course, they could drive. And then it just worked out. But the argument then was, well, then you have the reverse problem in the afternoon. But everybody knew then that the problem in the afternoon was much easier to solve by having the younger kids get out earlier and go. It eliminated a lot of the daycare in the morning, just like what you were saying. And then in the evening, that was the argument. Then, oh, well, they get home and they're all by themselves. Oh my gosh, but it's in the middle of the day usually. And you have people more amenable to their work schedules to be there, or the neighbor and things like that. So I think we should give it full airing and go forward with it and start it next year.
Well, I want to get feedback from more than just everyone that's in this room. I think I want to hear from students, I want to hear from parents, and I want to hear from our staff. And so we did hear from Benton Student Council last year, and they were in favor of this. They were actually bringing it to our attention. They think this needs to change at the high school level.
Could be good timing for next year too. I hate to bring this dragon out of the closet, but with the boundaries issue, and it's something I think is going to happen by next year on that, this may be a good time to change this whole philosophy, how we get the kids to school, and who's first and who's second. And that'll
I'm
make
going
it a
to
lot
stick
more
with the building
user-friendly.
start times rather than boundaries.
No, but I'm saying we're going to do something next year on that, so this would be a good time to do this as well. I mean, if you're going to change everything, change it.
And I think we all know attendance at the high school level is where we're really hurting.
Yes, yeah.
And so hopefully this would help resolve that.
I think sometimes we make simple problems with simple solutions a little bit more complicated. I mean, the research shows that they learn better later, so all the extra is kind of extra. I am not a morning person. We've talked about that. I don't know how y'all are functioning.
Okay, I'll move forward with surveys to those 3 groups. And if anybody else has any questions, or if you have people reach out to you, send them my way.
I'm kind of more
Give me
interested to see what the staff's going to think.
I am too.
Yeah.
Especially at the high school level.
Yeah.
I also kind of wonder if it might help with some like staff retention, recruitment, and not just with certified staff, but with your bus drivers. I mean, some of these buses to be getting their routes done are early, and kids are getting on there early, so that might be interesting too.
Well, they'll still start early, it'll just be different people that pick it up.
Thanks.
I mean, I'm just saying that it won't change that.
But it'll be little people getting
Right.
earlier than high school people who have a hard time.
Because we'll still have to stay with 3-tiered routes and.
Right. But it'll be the
Sure.
littles who are already up at
Yeah.
6.
Well, and I would just say we have Mark Twain starts at 7:45, and we're not having any problems
With the littles.
with the littles, starting at that time. So, I mean, I know my own children used to get up at like 5. So, I put them to bed early and they got up early. So I wouldn't foresee a problem with the littles to move them to there.
Okay, we will move forward with surveys, and then our next item is a flyer that we've created for the community about kindergarten readiness. We've talked about kindergarten readiness. Last year, we were at 44% of our kids were actually ready for kindergarten. This year, we are at 42%. And so what we want to do is send something out to the community, meaning child care providers. Our early learning centers already have this document. Our parents as teachers, Head Start, medical office, dentists, all of those places, and really get the word out about what skills kindergartners actually need to know. So you should have that at your tables also. Are there any questions about that document?
Is this the final draft, or is this open for any additions or things?
It's pretty much a final draft. We've shared it with the early learning centers, but we gladly take your
No,
feedback.
I was just thinking of the families that aren't necessarily in the district yet, that maybe just some contact information. I mean, I'm sure they could go to the website and find it, but it might be easy, bet if you could, but it's not possible. I mean, the information's out there, but just a phone number to call if you're interested in, you know, when is kindergarten roundup, or
Yeah, and Lacey's created this, and she's actually got some QR codes in here too, so that could be something we could add to a QR code.
That QR code actually takes you to the DESE's website for kindergarten readiness, and they've linked Missouri Connections in there. But yeah, we could add.
I mean, I didn't scan the QR code, I saw it, but.
No, but that's great information, great feedback to have, yeah. Because we are starting to plan for
Well,
spring
even-
enrollment for next year.
Even dates, if you already know on the school calendar when is kindergarten roundup, you know, it
Yep.
might be good for them, because some, if it's their first one, they might not be thought about this at all.
Right.
And it's like, I don't even know, when is
Right.
kindergarten roundup, when is it, when, you know?
All of these components came off of our kindergarten observation form, the KOF, which is our readiness assessment with DESE. The only thing that was added was use the bathroom independently, because
Which
we
is a
think
good
that's
one.
important.
That's
We don't assess it, but we do think it's important to come to kindergarten with that, so.
But looks great, that was just. the
Thank
only-
you, yeah, great feedback. Thank you.
And to my knowledge, I don't think we've ever had a document like this that just explicitly outlines what skills the kindergartners need to have. So I'm hoping parents find this beneficial too as a guide to prepare their kiddos.
So can I ask a question? Because I kind of got lost. So we do not provide preschool to everybody, correct?
Correct.
Only based on assessments?
We give an assessment, a screening,
Mhm.
at the beginning. But that's like our first step. We get in, kind of see where we're at. It's child find also to see if we have needs that we need to address for evaluation. But then from there, they also enroll and they fill out, free and reduced lunch forms. So that basically we have our ADA classrooms, so those are certain ones, our title classrooms, and then our ECSE classrooms, our early childhood special ed.
So during kindergarten roundup, if a kiddo cannot do these things, but they're ready for kindergarten age-wise, what services, or do they get extra help to get this, or?
We're still going to take them all.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
take all kids.
And then provide those resources and supports and intervention as we can. We just right now wanted to provide communication
Right.
to our parents because we haven't done that in the past. And so it's not appropriate for us to expect parents to have kindergartners ready when they don't know what ready means. And we're not defining that, so
I
hopefully.
think that's
this will-
probably the hard part, because I did take a recent survey from you guys in the school district
Thank
that I
you.
got on my phone. But then, while I was taking it, I realized I know very little about what the school district is doing, because my kids are grown, I have grandkids, even though I worked for Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, I was a teacher, parents as teachers, but I'm totally ignorant about what's going on now. So that's probably the trick, getting this out to everybody somehow.
One of the responses that we are taking part in is we partner with United Way Success by Six. And so we are bringing back a program called Kinder Club, and it's inviting incoming kindergartners and their parents to each school site in the spring. And they come in, and the building kindergarten teachers there will walk parents through some things that specifically address our results. And language and literacy was one of our lower areas. And then give them take-home activities to do at home to help build that students' knowledge base.
That's exciting.
Yeah. So.
Any other questions for us? All right, well, thank you all for being here. I hope you come back.
We're going to do it every month, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
but I mean, we have some guests here, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, no. Every month.